All right, we're going to do 32 through 35 here, which are all factoring problems. Let's first just look at the problems and see what we notice here. So these are both trinomials. Here we have a difference and we have two terms on each of these. So looking at 32, we have a trinomial. Let's see if we can factor this using the diamond. So on the top we have a times c. 16 times 9 is 144. And on the bottom we have b, which is negative 24. So we need to find two numbers that multiply to 144 but add to negative 24. So that would be negative 12 and negative 12. So factoring by grouping means we need to write down the 9x squared. And instead of writing the middle term, we're going to write these two to replace it. So negative 12x. The last term stays as is. Factoring by grouping means we're going to split this in two groups and factor out the GCF on each. So here the GCF is 3x. Take that out and multiply by x minus 4. Here the GCF is negative 4, and we can multiply by x minus 4. So our factorization there is, one of the factors is this one that's repeated, x minus 4. The other factor is what we have left here, 3x and minus 4. So I'm going to skip to 34 since it's a trinomial like 32. And we'll do the same process, except now we have another variable, but we can still use the same idea here. Let's multiply the first and the last terms together, and I'm going to include the variables here. The middle term, I'm going to include the variables there. And we need to find two expressions that multiply to x squared y squared, but add to 2xy. We could do xy times xy. That works. And let's try factoring by grouping again. So using the same idea as we did here, write the first term down, and instead of 2xy, I'm going to split that into these two. So plus xy, and the last term will stay as is. So now we have four terms we can factor by grouping. The GCF here is x. The GCF here is y. So the common factor here is x plus y, so these two are the same. That's one of the factors. And then the other factor will be this, x plus y, which is the same factor twice. So this could also be written as x plus y quantity squared. Now let's look at 33 and 35. These, and actually 31 all the way through 37, are all differences of squares. So we have perfect squares that are being subtracted. So on 33, we have 25x squared minus y to the fourth. Difference of squares means we're trying to figure out, well, what would we have to square to get this? That would be 5x. And write that in both of the factors. And what would we have to square to get y to the fourth? We would have to square y squared. In order to have these two multiply to this and have the middle term cancel out, this is a plus and this is a minus. So 5x plus y squared, 5x minus y squared. On 35, what would we have to square to get 36x squared? We would have to square 6x. And we would have to square 7 to get 49. So this would be 6x plus 7 and 6x minus 7.